Hello, this is Mo,
Tanya here.
and today we are gonna compare the Galaxy S24 Ultra versus the iPhone 15 Pro Max after 6 months of updates. Thanks to this Viennese young man for giving us great content. The iPhone is always on the right side and the Galaxy on the left side. The first obvious difference between the two at first glance is that the exposure and level of whites. I always feel the whites are deeper on the iPhone, which is also visible in the photos. The other visible difference is that the Galaxy's sky color has more of a blue tone and a little bit more saturated. I took all the photos in default mode, and when zooming into the subject, the Galaxy photo looks less noisy compared to the iPhone. Another difference between the two, in my opinion, is the skin tone. There is a bit of a red and orange tone to my skin tone, and Tanya also on the Galaxy, whereas iPhone faces are a bit on the colder side. In the background, both of them retain the details in the sky and did a great job keeping the information there. For me, Galaxy Ultra phones were always great for zooming, but there is a less of a difference now that both Pro Max and Ultra have similar 5x optical zoom lenses. There are still two major differences between the zooming on the Galaxy and on the iPhone. The first one, which is more obvious at first glance, is that zoom transition, which is much smoother on the iPhone compared to the Galaxy. Unfortunately, on the Galaxy, there is still a visible color and position shift when zooming in, which I hope Samsung solves in future updates or the next generation of Galaxies. For the picture quality at 10 times zoom, the Galaxy seems to retain details better with computational photography and digital zoom. There's again an obvious white balance difference between the two phones, but it's hard to say which one did a better job. The Galaxy also seems to do a better job when it comes to retaining details and noise level, as you can see in the 10 times zoom picture. Maybe this picture shows the difference better when zoomed 15 times into the Copa Beach logo. The Galaxy is less noisy and produces a cleaner image, while the one on the iPhone, though it looks less digital, is noisier and seemingly not the same quality as the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. You probably already know that I always carry both iPhones and Samsung in my pocket, but whenever I'm in the wild, I use the Galaxy since I prefer the zoom quality and I feel it does much better when it comes to wildlife. The quality is something just surreal. Like, look at this insect video I took or the video of the bee. The combination of autofocus, colors, level of details is just amazing, especially on the 5x zoom on the Galaxy. I'm not saying it's bad on the iPhone, but it's simply not the same level, and you can clearly see the difference looking at this video I took with the iPhone 15 Pro Max 5 times zoom lens. One other thing that is essential when comparing the cameras is the portrait mode, especially a skin tone. Both of them can take quote-to-quote cinematic video, which basically means they create an artificial bokeh effect to give depth to the subject and the scene, something usually achievable using a lens with a very low aperture like 2.8 or even lower. However, since phone cameras have a fixed aperture, which is not that wide, they have to do it with computational photography. One thing I prefer on the Galaxy is the 3 times zoom compared to the 2 times zoom lens, which makes the portrait photo more natural looking, and I like the face portions more. For example, usually on a normal camera, you want to take a photo with at least 50mm. Using the main lens, it seems the iPhone picture on the right has more contrast compared to the Galaxy S24 Ultra on the left side. Maybe this picture shows the difference better. The subject on the iPhone is a bit darker compared to the S24 Ultra. On the other hand, I feel there is too much yellow tone in the picture that the S24 Ultra produced. As I said, you cannot get a great bokeh on the portrait photo if you don't use the portrait mode, but you can do a trick and move the background far from the subject, as I did here with Tanya, which resulted in a somewhat acceptable bokeh without relying on computational photography. A skin tone is another big difference between the iPhone and the S24 Ultra. The iPhone photo has a bit more contrast and less saturation, and there's less red and orange in Tanya's skin tone, whereas on Samsung there is more. Write down in the comments which one you actually prefer. The picture shows the difference even better. Tanya's face has more red tone to it on the S24 Ultra compared to the iPhone 15 Pro Max. It's not only because of the software both phones are using, but also depends on the chipset they are using and how it handles the computational photography. Let's also hear Tanya singing to see the sound quality.
Hungry, I am so hungry. I have no yummy for my own.
Are you serious now? Alright, today this is all you get from Tanya. This is like the song she decided to sing.
This is not enough.
By the way, today's video has a sponsor. It's called HITWAY. HITWAY produces great e-bikes at a crazy affordable price. The one that Tanya and I are riding today is the model called BK19, a road electric bike priced at €900 or £800. It is super easy to assemble and only took Tanya and me half an hour to assemble each of them. It has a Shimano 7-speed, and with 250 watts motor power that it offers, you don't even need to pedal when you are going uphill. It's almost cheating, and it's a great thing to have on a hot summer day when you don't wanna sweat like a pig. Even though the removable battery is huge and supports up to 80 kilometers distance, you don't even notice it because of the sleek design of the bikes, and also the bike is not as heavy as a normal bike. It is only 20 kilograms, and both Tanya and I can easily lift it with our hands or without hands. The bike can go up to 25 km per hour, which is legal limit, pretty fast, like scary fast. I sometimes think it is dangerously fast. They also have other great products that you can check on their website. They also sell accessories like bike bags. I put the link in the description down below. Thanks HITWAY for sending the bikes. We had a great time riding them. It was getting dark and we decided to do nature photography. There's again an obvious difference between the white balance of the phones. I prefer the ones on the Galaxy in this instance because it captured the sky tone better, while it's too gray on the iPhone. The pictures on the Galaxy are more film-like, whereas on the iPhone it is more clear due to the higher contrast and lack of yellow and warm tone. For the sunset, I feel the iPhone did a better job at capturing the sun, even though there is a visible flare on the picture. Each one handles the flare differently. In my opinion, the flare is a bit stronger on the Galaxy, and there's also a green tone on it if you look at the direct impact on the middle of the screen. Whereas on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, I feel it handles it slightly better, but on the other hand, the spot in the middle is larger compared to the S24 Ultra. It got completely dark, so I took some more videos and pictures. The white balance is completely different on night photos. The Galaxy photos have this famous yellow tint to them and make everything more vibrant, while iPhone increased the exposure. Unfortunately, in low light setting, Galaxy didn't do a great job and added this yellow color that I kind of hoped they would fix at some point with updates, but they never did. While on the iPhone is more natural. On the other hand, if you look at the lamps, Galaxy did a better job retaining the details. At the end of the day, both phones are great photography and videography tools for day-to-day life, and it depends on your taste which one you prefer. I would pick Samsung for zoom and video in general, especially with the great Samsung camera, whereas the iPhone is great for night photos and if you want to capture, log, and color grade it later. If you like the video, you are also going to like the long-term comparison of iPhone 15 Pro Max versus Galaxy S24 Ultra, and you can watch it next. Thanks for tuning into Tecmo, and I will see you in the next one.